hey, this is Noah, and this is the podcast. And unlike last time where I said we're back again with Bryant, now I can actually say that and it makes sense. But I'm not going to because I just did. Anyway, Bryant, how are you doing?
Fine.
Fantastic. So, you already know what we're going to talk about, and this is probably not going to last the whole hour, but I just wanted to talk about the first Yakuza game and its interesting dub. So,
I mean, by far, I don't think this is one of the worst dubs in terms of like getting across what the point was. It's just not good.
I was going to say. So, for those who are listening, maybe who are not familiar with this, because as I know, Bryant, if you don't already know, I've been sharing this YouTube channel with a lot of people that I know. So I know there's going to be people here who are listening who are not familiar with Yakuza. If you haven't already heard me squealing about it every day. Yakuza is a series that was spawned out of Sega's internal teams after their last game console failed. Basically, Sega was just like, well, we're dying. Everything's fine. Let's all go down with the ship. And there was one dude in their business who was just kind of like, I can make all your dreams come true with one idea. And Sega, after hitting the line of coke on their desk with the last of their dollars, was just like, whatever, do what you want, I don't care. So they made Yakuza. And while Yakuza was initially just kind of blown off in the North American market as a GTA clone, it's far from that. I think the only similarity they share is that they are games about people doing crime.
Even then, Kiryu doesn't really commit crimes on the level of a Grand Theft Auto game.
I was going to say, like, Grand Theft Auto's like doing crime and like fulfilling your fantasies about doing crime. Yakuza is like beating people with a motorcycle and then feeling bad that you have to resort to doing it, and then not feeling bad because you can beat people with a motorcycle. But anyway, so the first Yakuza game was on the PlayStation 2 in 2005. If you play any of the Yakuza games now, with the exception of Judgment, none of them are in English. They're all in Japanese.
I get to point out that this is a beautiful transition podcast, because I mentioned last time that the best Earthbound game that's going to be released is going to be Yakuza 7, and they announced yesterday that Yakuza 7 will not have an English dub.
Excellent. Which actually, tangent, during the somewhat infamous now Xbox Series X live stream that they did, where it was supposed to be a gameplay live stream where they showed no gameplay, they announced that Yakuza 7 was going to be a launch title for the Series X. So that sort of gives us a window of when that game is likely to come out, if we are to assume that it comes out on all platforms around the same time. So we're probably going to have to wait till the fall.
Title for the Xbox One X, they're looking holiday season 2020, if I remember correctly.
Something like that, but even if we didn't have a solid idea, that's just a fair assumption, because that's when they all do it, and you don't want to be launching a console in this climate right now. But at any rate, train of thought. That gives me a lot of time to finish up 5, get into 0 and 6, so I'm pleased about that. But the Yakuza Reddit is kind of having a fun time, because you can play Kiwami on Steam and PC. You can play 0 on Steam and PC. I don't want to say Steam and PC like it's two different things. You can play Kiwami 2 on PC. You can't play 3 through 5, and you can't play 6 on PC. But with the announcement that Series X is getting 7, that means 7 is going to be on PC.
Well, they announced that earlier than the Series X. I don't know if you saw that, but it was announced like 2-3 weeks ago that Yakuza 7 was coming to Steam.
Well, either way. Point being, the Reddit of the, like, any of the PC fans are just sitting here like, okay, you got us 1, 2, and 0. Can we get a little hint of 3 through 5, maybe 6? And like, Ryuga Gotoku Studios just walks in just like, I brought you 7. Sit down. And I just think that's very funny, because it's also kind of bad because, like, if you go into the Xbox Series X or PC and you start with this game, Yakuza Like a Dragon or Yakuza 7, that's not gonna be indicative of the series at all, other than, like, the themes, the storytelling, and the humor.
I don't know where exactly it takes place in the storyline, but the only indications that they've given us is that Kiryu is the head of the Tojo Clan, which is the beginning of every Yakuza game after 1 and excluding 0.
Well, I'm gonna say that I didn't actually know that aspect, and I'm sus to suspect that that's not necessarily true. But I don't know things. I could be wrong. But
I mean, the
let it
beginning
be
of
said.
2, example is him trying to hand the Tojo Clan off to Daigo after Terada hands it back off to him.
I was gonna say,
just to name an example.
But specifically with Yakuza 7, to my understanding, it is taking place after 6. Like, I remember going on the wiki before, and you know, it'll show like Kiryu's age in each game. It showed that like by Yakuza 7 now he is now 50 or something like that.
Oh,
I'll double check that fact and put it on screen here, but like I am fairly certain that it is directly after. You know, some events that occur in the beginning of 7 obviously were earlier, but anyway, back on to the topic at hand. With the original Yakuza, when it first launched in North America, the company did the logical idea of trying to get it dubbed for North American audiences, because most white people out here in America don't like listening to Japanese people speaking unless if you're a weeaboo. That might be a hot take.
Not necessarily. It's generally accepted that people really don't like listening to languages that aren't their own.
You know? So, with their giant budget of whatever it was, they got an all-star cast.
That's
did the thing.
Certainly one word for it.
And the dub is awful. Absolutely disgusting. And to name specific reasons why it's bad, okay, just to be clear, so we are understood, so that when we get into, like, the people that are on this project, you will understand that it's not them necessarily. When you listen to the dub, the first problem people have with this, and you can disagree with me, Bryant, is that it is excessively vulgar.
No, that is absolutely correct.
Like, I read comments on YouTube videos where, like, it's just highlights of the dub being excessive. They're just like, it's like it's being done by middle schoolers. And I'm like, you are really not wrong. Like, it is bad. I would show a clip of it, but I feel like for the sanctity of this video, I can't. But maybe I'll just, like, do a highlight reel and just have it censored, so, like, basically the whole thing is just beep, you know?
I mean, the one scene that everybody brings up is Majima in the hotel.
Let's this You look delicious. How about it? Why don't you be my
I don't think I've actually seen that one. I'm gonna have to look that one up after this.
It's they blow up the hotel and
that part.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I didn't see what happens in the dub, but I do remember that part.
I mean, you are already voiced that you don't want the sanctity of the video to be ruined, so I'm not going to quote it. But needless to say, it's The part that they made vulgar was when he takes the woman hostage. Everything else is rather whatever.
Okay. Oh, I think I got an idea of what... Alright, anyway, so... To the next point. The other part is, at points, the dub sounds like it was straight up edited.
We seem to be at the center of this shitstorm that's been kicked up recently.
Bullshit! These don't deserve our money.
Right. Like, I can show a clip of this fairly, and I'll probably still have to censor it, but, like, there'll be parts where the characters will, like, stutter and skip through their lines, almost as if, like, I said my line and had a little Drew moment and skipped it, and then moved to the next thing, and rather than, like, attempt to redo it or adjust it properly, they just left it. Or perhaps what they did was, rather than have the character's mouth change to the English dub, they made it so that the sound only comes out when their mouth moves. And if you've ever watched a dub, you can tell if it's good or bad if they made the mouth move accurately to the language they are currently trying to portray.
So
and like,
that's necessarily an indicator, because there are a couple games that have decent dubs that don't have the synchronized mouth movements.
well, yeah, like it is not the deciding factor by any stretch of the definition, but it is a nice feature. Like, you can have good voice acting and have a horrible job at the dub. And let it be said that, in my personal opinion, if the voice acting is spot on, but the dubbing is piss poor, it kind of takes some of the juice out of the performance.
Oh, 100%.
So it goes hand in hand. But given that information, some of the actual voice acting in this was not great. Some of it. Like, some of the characters just did not do well. But other ones were okay.
Just a thing, by the way, because this really bugged me. I had to search around for 15 minutes just to find out who voiced Kashwagi.
Oh, dude. I find that funny because, like, he was one of the first ones I found. I just went on the wiki, and it was just right there. How were you looking for it?
I was just Googling the Yakuza dub cast. IMDb doesn't have the complete cast. It's like 15 of the English voice actors, and it goes straight into the Japanese.
I was gonna say, when I was on the wiki, I had a bit of a struggle because not all of the characters had their English voice listed. As a matter of fact, and this, I was only working out the main characters and like two antagonists, being Majima and one of the other ones. But let it be said, some of them didn't even have the Japanese voice listed on their wiki pages.
I just linked you the page that I'm looking at right now, and it doesn't seem like it's a complete list per se, but it's literally every single one of the main characters and then a bunch of the named side characters.
Let me give this a look and see if, because there's some of these that I don't have. Okay, I don't have Yumi.
Right, and Eliza Dushku being Yumi is not... that's not good casting.
I was gonna say, one of the highlights for the piss poor acting was honestly, like, I'm trying to think of, like, it when Yumi's first introduced, there's this moment when she's walking up, it's like,
oh, you're here.
Yumi.
You guys already drunk? Let me in.
hey, you guys already got started on drinking? Come on, let me in. And I'm like, people don't say that. It's not a thing. But it was weird. But anyway, let me see, what has this woman done?
Predominantly, wow. I would say her biggest role was as Faith in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Who is Faith?
She is the evil Slayer. She's not at first. She decides that she enjoys killing and starts like killing human beings, and then she becomes the main antagonist of the second season.
I gotcha.
It was an interesting parallel, I guess, okay. for lack of a better word. I don't know. Her roles are after that were mostly like that type of character where it's just like, yeah, I can beat your ass.
I was gonna say the next biggest one I'm seeing here, just from episode count, is as She-Hulk and Hulk in the Agents of Smash.
Yeah.
But anyway, the performance on hers, in my opinion, just from like the standout highlights, was kind of. But anyway, the in terms of the other problems with the dub, overall, the last biggest thing is, from what I've heard anyway, in the stories that are told of why we don't get one anymore for the successive games, is that not just the vulgarity of the lines, but what was said. Because sometimes what they were trying to convey, because, translation, how that goes, was not quite on point. Whether it's because of the excessive cursing or just because whoever was translating it basically gave up. I could be off the radar with that one. I won't fully testify to that, but it wouldn't surprise me too, even if that was not an explicitly stated fact, and that just happened to be true as well.
I hadn't heard, or I haven't found a confirmed reason, but the one that I keep seeing is that Nagoshi saw that and was just like, never again.
Yeah. With the exception of Judgment.
Right, which has an amazing dub.
It kind of skipping to the end of my whole spiel that I'm inevitably going to have, Judgment getting a dub low-key makes me hope that we might see dub for future Yakuza entries, whether or not it's just like the side games or otherwise, because, and this is going to be how I transition, Majima with Mark Hamill is fantastic in theory.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a theoretically perfect casting. Whoever was directing him in the voice booth did not do that correctly. He doesn't have to be the Joker, but he doesn't bother to show the more
retarded
extreme aspects. Retarded, sure. I was going to say extreme. The more retarded aspects of Majima, where he's just like, hey, man, I'm going to stab you to death with the cane. That scene is played very seriously in both versions of the game, but you could tell that he's just not entirely, like, there in the Japanese version.
See, one of the things that bugs me from hearing how the dub was done, you could tell from how the characters deliver lines, they were trying to make the voices and the way things were said relatable to North American audiences, because they made the characters sound like North American gang members, like mafia members, right? Like, some of the characters I think had like fake New York accents, which really got me wheezing. And as I'll say a pretty hard Yakuza fan, knowing that these characters are Japanese, it is a bit of an off-putting situation. Hearing people saying words like Aniki and Kyodai with New York thug accents. And I'm like, you didn't have to. You chose to. You didn't have to.
This is a really great way to transition into my stone throwing for the day. Because, like, say what you will about Michael Madsen. I don't think he's a very good actor. He did well in Pulp Fiction. Or not Pulp Fiction, in Reservoir Dogs. The other, like, big Tarantino film. He's pretty great in Reservoir Dogs. He's not trying in this.
Who did he play?
Shimano.
Oh, yeah.
Like.
Okay, yeah, he's one of them that I didn't get. As I said before, my list, it's like all of the main characters.
Right, well, like, everybody's saying their lines relatively fast, with the exception of the guy who voice acted Kiryu and the guy who voice acted Majima. But for some reason, every single one of the lines that this dude delivers as Shimano sounds like he's just, like, speaking as fast as he can to get out of the booth as immediately as possible.
But anyway, let's get into some of these roles and let's dissect them one by one and sort of give our opinions on was this a good idea or not. We're going to try to ignore, for the most part, how they performed in the game, but I think that's going to inevitably come up if, like, they don't do a lot of things outside of this one role. But anyway, Kazuma Kiryu was voiced by one Daryl Kurilo. That's a name. And notable roles that I have listed from him, because he pretty much only does video game voices, is Alex Mercer, but only in Prototype 2. The Dom from Saints Row 4, and Asher Mir from Destiny 2. Now, I'm not familiar with Saints Row 4 or Destiny 2, but I assumed that those would be the standouts to you specifically.
Yeah. He hasn't done, like, anything else of note, like, otherwise.
I like his voice, the way he sounds.
Yeah, I don't think he has the energy to play somebody as unflinchingly serious and yet whimsical as Kiryu, but he has the right sound.
Like, when I think of Kiryu, I think that he can go from, like, almost a wise giant, you know, and he's even got, like, this deepness in his voice that sounds almost like, I don't want to say relaxing, but it gives you this impression of, like he is at peace. But then the moment that he goes into, like, fighting someone, like a final boss, and takes off his shirt, that man turned up right quick. He is screaming. He is testing, like, I'd say he's like beta Dragon Ball vibes. Early Dragon Ball vibes before you get to full-on Super Saiyan. I think that might be stretching it, but the point I'm trying to convey is that, as far as I could tell, this man has, like, one tone. And that's all he does. If he could learn to take it up to 13 for those parts, he would have it.
Yeah, I agree. I do actually theoretically quite like them casting the guy who played Lex Luthor on Smallville as Nishiki, but he also doesn't seem to be performing really at all in this.
You think so?
I think he has some of the best line deliveries in the game, but it's not a lot. That's
I was
going
to say, like, some of the parts, like, it's almost there, but I think it was the writing.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm trying to think, like, there was this part, like, when he's, like, shooting his subordinate for killing, I think it was Reina. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Like, he was pretty there, and I was like, okay, I see you.
Yeah, like, when he's actually
an issue.
Being a bad guy, he's got it.
I think the line when he first, like, shot the what is his name?
Oyabun.
The guy that Kiryu went to jail for.
Yeah, Oyabun.
Is that his name?
Yeah, it's Fuma Oyabun.
I don't remember.
Wait, no, it might have been.
Either way, when he shot him, the line that he delivered, just, like, that one was a no. No out of 10. Remove it.
It was not Oyabun. Oyabun is Dojima. Or not Dojima. Oyabun's their adopted father. I can't...
You're trying.
Yeah, I'm trying. Dojima's the guy he shot, who is uncredited on this list.
Yeah. Anyhow. So... Shinji's voice actor didn't really do a lot, but the one notable thing I got from him was he was Eddie Brock Jr. in Ultimate Spider-Man. That's it. Like, I guess.
I genuinely forgot who Shinji was. All of until right now. I had to find his picture and I'm like, oh!
Which, honestly, just as an aside, because, like, Jonah made me realize this, and I hate you for it. I hate you for that. Because of how Japanese names work, where, like, they have, like, the last, like, the surname first, and all that junk, I've gotten so messed up over what Kiryu's first name is, and we always call him Kiryu. And it has taken me until, like, a week or two ago to understand that's not his first name. And it was confirmed for me when I was watching scenes from the dub of the game and he introduces himself as Kazama, and I'm like, ow. That's weird. I don't like it. Unsign. Like, does that bug you at all?
No, because I've managed to keep it straight.
I hate myself. Anyway. So, Shintaro Fuma. Okay, this is when we start to get into, like, okay, these are sort of notable names for, like, the voice actors. Roger L. Jackson. And I noted that he did additional voices in Jet Set Radio, and he was a character in the reboot for Shinobi, but the most important thing is that he was literally every edition of Mojo Jojo. All of them.
Yeah. The other big role that he's known for, other than Mojo Jojo, is he's the voice of Ghostface in the Scream series. Not like the killer per se, but when they use the voice changer, like the moniker of the killer, that's his voice.
Gotcha. I'm gonna skip down a little bit because I want to, like, sort of progress through these in a way that's fair.
I mean, Rachel Lee Cook is the wife in the Mummy trilogy, and I don't think she's done anything else that's notable.
Oh, boy!
No, I lied. Rachel Lee Cook.
Nope. You've already sinned. You have already sinned. Die. I get to say it, cause your mom gay. So
yeah, no.
The voice actress of Reina is Rachel Leigh Cook, and Rachel Leigh Cook, most notably, is Tifa Lockhart in literally everything except the most recent game. F in the chat. But more importantly, she's Abigail Lightheart in Psych.
Ew.
What do you mean, ew? You want to go?
Kill me.
I just had, like, a moment. Anyway, what I was gonna say before you switched over to Rachel Leigh Cook is Gary Buster Holmes, who's voice actor Gary Anthony Williams, hasn't really done a whole lot that I cared about. All I care about is he's effing Uncle Ruckus in the Boondocks.
Oh my
God. I can't understand how this happened. But I'm okay. Now every time I fight Gary Buster Holmes, I'm just going to remember that had Yakuza hit it big earlier on, or if that casting director actually directed instead of, like, wiping his butt with the script, I'm just going to remember that I'm fighting Uncle Ruckus. And Tiger Drop him. Anyway, so, next. Kashiwagi, as you were looking up, is John DiMaggio, and if that doesn't even hit big for people, let me just roll through some of the things that this man has done, because this man is, like, big voice actor. This is one of the big ones. This man was in both Valkyria Chronicles 1 and 2. Okay, he was in Mad World.
Yeah, he was the luchador in Mad World, wasn't he?
Likely. Creeley? Is that?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'll double check it. He was Rico from the Penguins of Madagascar. Okay.
I see you're starting on the smaller end.
Yeah.
I mean, we can
We're
go
going
bigger,
we're going through this. He was Brother Blood in Teen Titans.
which always fantastic, that show.
Yes. He was the Scotsman in Samurai Jack. He was Schnitzel on Chowder. And he was Jake the Dog in Adventure Time. But most importantly, Marcus Phoenix in Gears of War, and even more importantly, which I just learned from doing this research, is that he was in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Did you see who he voiced in that?
Actually, genuinely don't remember.
So he was in the last episode before the season, like the finale for the show. He was the actor Toph and actor Iroh in the play. I'm done.
Oh, he's also Dr. Draken in Kim Possible and Bender in Futurama.
Oh my god. Dude. Like, I don't know about you, but I think this was a great choice to find. Like, this is obviously a big name. Whether or not this should have been Kashiwagi, I don't know.
I don't think at the time, or I should say, no, I can't even say at the time, no. 'Cause this guy's been great his entire career. I think this is the biggest example as to why the voice director just didn't know what they were doing. See, he's been great in everything that he's been in except for this. He plays a side character in Final Fantasy VII Remake who steals the show for the entirety of the portion of the game that he's in.
Next, we got Masaru Sara. I forget what his role is in the game.
Third chairman.
Third chairman? Okay. This guy hasn't done very much of anything. Like, at all. He had a role in Mass Effect 3. Oh, no, he had 2 roles in Mass Effect 3. And he was a side character in both Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Captain America Winter Soldier. That's basically it. Next. Another big one. Date.
Is goofy in everything.
Literally everything! Now, let's be fair. Let's be fair. He may have been goofy in literally everything. He is the goofy voice that isn't ProZD. But he hasn't done much of anything besides that. At least, like, if you look at Mario's voice actor, Charles Martinet, you can look and see that he has done other notable roles. Goofy's voice actor, Bill Farmer, however, not really. He has a lot of credits. All of them are Goofy. But anyway. So, I'm gonna get into the next one, because this one tickles me. The Florist. Dwight Schultz is the voice of Mung Daal on Chowder. So, whoever was casting this managed to get 2 of the the main cast of Chowder on this game. And something about that just tickles me. I'm just like, why couldn't they have gotten, like, the voice actor for Chowder to, like, do Haruka? So I could just go on record and say that, like, besides Truffles, all the characters from Chowder are here. That would have been great. Which that transitions into my next statement that Haruka's voice actress disturbs me. Did you look into Haruka's voice actress? Bill?
Watched a lot of these shows.
Okay, you cut out quite a bit.
I don't remember any of these specific characters other than Tinkerbell.
Okay. Well, I'll give the highlights. She's Jimmy Neutron in everything.
She's Nurgle Jr. Oh my lord.
Zatch in Zatch Bell. And this is the one that caught me off guard the most out of all of them. Young B.J. Blazkowicz in Wolfenstein 2.
Damn, that's talent.
That bugs me. Marginally. But it sucks because, like, for a lot of her roles, it's like, I guess, like, little dudes, little boys, right? Because you gotta have, like, the Ash Ketchum effect where you have, like, a woman doing it, but with, like, a lower tone, so it sounds like a kid.
But it doesn't even most of the time.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that. It sucks because her performance as Haruka is, like, one of the worst in this game. Like, just hearing the clips. I
was watching cutscenes earlier with the Kiwami filter, as I'm gonna put it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get far enough to hear her. It was just all of the other male voice actors, and I'm not pleased for the most part.
Yeah. Because, like, you know, when you read the subtitles in Kiwami, okay, like, I think in Japanese, what she refers to Kiryu as is uncle, right? A word that would translate to uncle. But in the subtitles, she, like, says, like, mister or something. So in the dub, she calls him mister. So, like, she's like, Mister, why are the men trying to kill me? Mister, it's so, Debbie, stop it. It's just not great. But do you have an actor that you want to shout out here?
I need to remember who Jingu is. But
Jingu, wasn't that the Chinese dude?
I think.
I might be wrong. Like the Chinese mafia guy that's like, Kiryu-chan.
The MIA guy, the intelligence agency.
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
That's the final boss? Oh my lord.
No. He's second to final boss. Nishiki's the final.
Oh, yeah,
but
I forgot.
he was the sleeper antagonist. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, that guy's voiced by Robert Atkin Downs, who is another one of those, like, it's easier just to list the notable voices. He's the guy who did Kazuhiro Miller in the Metal Gear games.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. He's such a good voice actor, and then you can tell that, like, Metal Gear was falling apart with the whole, like, you took our freedom! Give it back!
Huh.
Make them pay. They'll feel all of our pain.
Baron Zemo in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So many of the characters from Star Wars Rebels, or not Rebels, the Clone Wars. He only plays a couple in Rebels.
Dude looks like if you combined, like, who's the actor that portrays Professor X in the X-Men movies that isn't, like, the prequel ones?
James McAvoy. Or, wait, no, isn't prequel ones. That was Patrick Stewart.
No. The ones that are the prequels.
Oh, James McAvoy. Looks
like if you combined him and... Oh my god. Who's the racist guy in Django Unchained? Plantation owner? Who's that actor?
DiCaprio.
Yeah, DiCaprio. Looks like if you combine both of them.
You had my my interest. Now you have my attention. Also, his video game list is large.
Let me take a look. Let's see. He's in Fatal Frame 2. That's notable to me. Ninja Gaiden.
Darksiders 2.
He's kind of all over the place here. Like, he's got a little bit of everything. Oh, he was the prince in Prince of Persia.
Yes.
That's neat. What else we got? Man. Yeah. He was just in Ghost Rider? Like, how depressing is it if you make a movie and then somebody makes a game based on your movie but doesn't get any of the actors from the movie to do the roles in the game. Something about that just screams like, buddy. Like, I would think that would be an easy casting choice.
Right.
You know? I don't know. Maybe I'm just big retarded and don't know what I'm talking about. Tomb Raider. Wait a minute. John. Oh, that's great, dude. This guy voiced Roth. He was that homie who like sacrificed himself for you. Who was like sniping them on the bridge. That guy was great.
He's also the voice of Travis Touchdown in No More Heroes.
Then. Wait, hold on. This is Jingu? This is Jingu, and he did that too?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Anyway. I'm gonna take a turn. Yukio Terada, the guy who ends up being like a double agent in 2. Also a spoiler. He was a role in Metal Gear Solid 3, The Pain. I don't know what's going on with that, but that sounds like a great name.
If I remember correctly, The Pain was the guy who fired bees at you.
Can I please shoot bees at me?
Because his whole thing is he stands on a boulder with a pond around him, and he fires clouds of bees at you, or he fires like individual streams of bees at you. It's the worst boss fight in the game, in my opinion.
Makes me think of Swarm from Marvel. Can we get a new Spider-Man game and have Swarm in it? Just literally rip that boss fight straight from it. But the more important thing is that in like basically what seemed like most Garfield productions, he was Odie's voice. So, how do we feel about that?
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. But
he's also ejected from Final Fantasy X.
I have that, but I wasn't sure like what was all about that. Like, I was seeing that he was basically ejected from like every iteration of Final Fantasy that the character was in. But I don't want to make that claim brashly and not actually know what I'm talking about. What character is that? Do you know off the top of your head?
That's technically the final boss.
Okay.
I guess the easy way to put it is that he like fuses with the religion of that game's equivalent of Satan, and then you fight him, and then you fight Satan, and he dies.
I think Jonah did that in Mario and Rabbids.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. Anyway, so now we get to the piece de resistance. Goro Majima, as voiced by Mark Hamill. Luke Skywalker, and potentially more notably, the Joker. I think of all of the casting choices, this is definitively the best idea.
I actually just learned about this one looking at the list. He's the Fear Feaster in Adventure Time.
You think that's great? Okay, I just learned that he's effing Ozai in Avatar. Okay? Like, it amazes me that, like, a lot of the roles that he seems to be in, he has that same sort of, like, yes, sort of voice. Like, yeah, Ozai, he skips in regular show, Sticky Beard in Codename Kids Next Door, Undergrowth from that one episode of Danny Phantom. Like, they all sort of have that same energy.
Self and Freakazoid.
Yeah. And when you think about the character of Goro Majima and you think about, like, Joker, they got some same energy. But, like, Goro Majima is like I guess like a less comic book villain-ified sort of version of him. You know what I mean?
The main difference is that Goro Majima has a moral set.
Like, he's got justifications behind the things that he does, just like Joker might. Like, Joker's got, like, reasons for what he does, but the difference is that Majima, usually at the end of the day, has something good behind what he's doing. like on the wiki for this game, it lists Majima as an antagonist, and I find that fascinating because I guess I would classify Majima as sort of like not like an anti-hero. No, he's like an anti-hero. He's what this game series would define as like an anti-hero.
I mean, he ends up on the wrong side of the conflict more often than not, but at the same time... he's just
like, I want to get out. Like,
yeah.
Game ends, Kiryu puts, what's his face? Daigo on the throne of the Tojo Clan and then says, I'm gonna go sit in a beach all day with my friends and my kids. Majima, keep an eye on Daigo for me, wouldn't you? And then the next game starts, Daigo's in trouble, everyone wants Kiryu back, and Majima's sitting there, stiff as a bird, unable to function. Next game, like, I'm allowed to joke about that because of how many of these games I've beaten now. But it's kind of samey in terms of its setup. As for what specifically is wrong, that's where it gets different. And how many people die.
I mean, he kills like 100 people, some odd, in the ending of Yakuza 0 alone. He is the last chapter. That's a bit of a spoiler, but that's whatever. And it's him just cutting his way across an army, like Dynasty Warrior style.
I was gonna say, while I was playing, having now played through all the games, well, most of them, it's interesting to see the progression where, like, you know, when you, in Yakuza, I think 3 and 4 specifically, earlier games, when you would have to go up against a mob of enemies, remember how they would, like, circle around you and they'd, like, send in a couple at a time, and after you kill all of them, they would, send in the next little wave?
Right.
Well, now here I'm in Yakuza 5, and they just don't. They're just all there. Good luck. And it creates interesting situations because the AI doesn't make them all go after you at once still. They're just all active. So when you're in a fight with a giant group of enemies, you feel like you're in a fight with a giant group of enemies.
Right, and the change that they end up making in 0 is the change that they kept for 2 and 6, and I guess a little bit of Kiwami 1, even though, like, Kiwami 1 doesn't have as many of the situations that they're put in, but they, like, throw, like, 15 to 20 guys at you, and then when you clear that wave, there's a cutscene of you, like, going to the next set piece, and then it's another 15 to 20 guys. Like, it's a little bit more regimented than just, like, 15 to 20 guys standing in a crowd, you beat all of them to death, and then, like, the next 15 to 20 guys just roll up and be like, you did the thing.
You know? But I don't know. So, well, let me ask you this. If you had to pick, like, a particular voice actor you'd want for a specific role in the Yakuza series, doesn't have to just be the first game, it could be any of them, what actor would you want to see for which role? I probably should have asked you this before we started so you'd have a better, like, head start on what you would want to say and why.
I can roll with this. I just have to do a mental checklist real quick.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to try to keep talking so I don't have dead air, but maybe I should try to... Oh, wait, what?
I'll take Greg Chun. He already voices a Yakuza character, technically, because in-universe, Judgment is still part of the canon, but he's the main character of Judgment, and I think he'd be great in literally any one of the roles for the Yakuza games.
Oh, wait, correct me if I'm wrong, is he not Ike?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said something that I would actually be able to, like, bounce off of. Yeah, Greg Chung, like, he does a bunch of Fire Emblem Heroes characters, and I think he's also, like, he's not just Ike. I think he's also, what's his name? Ephraim. Which is, like, if you're gonna get 2 roles in Heroes, getting 2 protagonists is pretty good.
He's also Ren in Shenmue 3, but I don't think that's no, that is one of the characters from 2.
Yeah. Oh, I think I actually know that character. Doesn't he does he have like a bandana and like he has a knife?
Yeah, and like a neon, or not like a neon, a deep blue jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also, I didn't know this one. He's the first English voice of Kunio.
Ooh, that's pretty good. And he's Lucas in Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Wanting, which, by the way, I learned something the other day. It is not pronounced Shenmue. It's actually pronounced Shenmue.
That's kind of gross.
I know. Like, I was always pronouncing it that way, too. And then I heard it, and I was like, ugh. Because, like, with Japanese, you expect to pronounce every syllable. Or every, like, letter. Like, baka mitai. It'd be like, that's how you would say it. Like, you have to make sure to pronounce the A and the I at the end. Not just say A or I. You gotta say it, like, both. So when I read that, I think Shenmue because it's UE. But then, like, what? You look at Jun Sonoe. That's how the white people on the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter say it. So I'm like, why is it Shenmue?
Oh, so I don't know if it's just cutting off the list or not, but his IMDb doesn't list Ike and Heroes, but it lists Ephraim, Lucas, and Eldigan. Eldigan's one of those trash pull characters that I immediately just scrap for materials.
I think I actually have, like, 11 of him, so I can actually make him into, like, a good unit. I might be thinking of the wrong guy.
There's also Winston. I forgot about that.
In what?
Overwatch.
Really?
Yeah.
This doesn't list that. But I'm looking at, the, what's it called? I'm looking at his Wikipedia page. See, now I'm thinking about Ike, and I'm imagining him, like, saying some of the lines of Winston, and I'm wheezing inside.
It's kind of gross.
I don't want a banana.
Anyhow. I think if I had to pick one, I think I would like Ash Ketchum's original voice actress to do Haruka. Specifically as she's, like, a teenager. And, like, an adult. Because I haven't heard her, like, do voice parts that aren't supposed to be, like, spunky young, like, kid, child. But I'm imagining that if she tried to just be, like, a teenage girl, she could probably be quite convincing. Maybe I'm wrong.
I feel like it might be, well, actually, I don't know if I've ever heard Ash's original voice now that I think about it.
It's by far his most notable sounding voice. If you want to find it, the ProZD has a skit where he actually got her to help out and do the voice while he does, like, the on-screen talent. The dubbing that they did for it was very impressive to the point where, like, much like how with Guilty Gear Revelator, I didn't realize it wasn't in 2D at first, but with this skit that ProZD did, it was a whole thing where at first I genuinely might have thought that he was doing the voice. Maybe. I don't know. Possibly. Anyhow, do you have any other statements you'd like to make about it?
I mean, I'll reiterate that the best Earthbound game is going to be Yakuza 7. Ichiban Kasuga is going to beat his cash out of his foe for EXP and rewards, and he's not going to have to worry about his dad calling him to just randomly be like, here's $2,000, go do your homework.
I'm looking forward to it too. Thank you for tuning in to This Is the Podcast. This is Noah. That is Bryant. You can find links to socials, and I'll link Bryant's stream in the description. He might not be streaming Yakuza, but there is a possibility at some point, eventually, he could, in theory. It is a possibility. But right now you're streaming Fear, right? So, if you want to watch something that has literally nothing to do with Yakuza, go watch him.